Welcome everyone to today's FLL Coach Call. Today's date is October 3rd, 2022. Looks like we have a couple more people joining here, but we can go ahead and get started. I'm sure you guys have some questions. We can start with questions, and I don't know if any information has come in. I'm sorry I wasn't here last week. Brian, I don't know if there's any information we need to pass on to these guys. Jeff will be back here in a few minutes. He just was running a little bit late. So, is there any global information we need to pass out to them, or just start out with questions?
Well, the newsletter went out with some of the tournaments. I think we were still waiting on one sectional yet. Is that correct, Debbie?
My understanding is we have two sectionals. We have the December 10th, and then I think it's the December 17th.
17th, yeah. Okay. So we did have two locked down. Okay.
I'm just pulling up that newsletter if I can.
Is there clarity on when the sign up will actually occur?
Told you, Debbie, didn't I? I said that would be the first question tonight.
Yes, you did. We were talking about that. I just got the training this afternoon with First, so they just got me into the system. So I did look at how to create all the registrations this afternoon. I'm hopeful that I will get all of those registrations and all the events put into the system tomorrow. I want to have them checked by probably Jeff, just to make sure that they're done correctly, since I'm new at putting the registrations in. And then, so I'm hoping by Wednesday or Thursday at the latest that they should be up and ready to be, you should be able to sign up.
So that's the volunteer system I think you're referring to.
Yes.
Okay. I think they're asking about how signing up for which tournament they can take their team to.
Right.
Both, but yeah, I mean, more importantly for the team is locking down the dates so we know how to get people's other activities moved.
If Debbie doesn't,
we're going to try and get that up as quickly as possible, but we've got some issues with the registration system that teams use right now that we're trying to get resolved.
Okay, but it'll be something similar to in the years past, where we're told that we
Yes.
can register on this date starting at this time, correct?
Right.
Okay, as long as we get notice about when the sign up starts, that's key. Okay, sounds
Yep.
good.
So it'll be run very much like past years. There will be approximately a 2-week period where you can sign up. Now there's no necessary urgency that you have to sign up on day one, because we'll look at factors like distance teams have to travel, financial hardship, things like that will be factored in also. Registration will be open for about 2 weeks. We'll close registration. We'll look at everybody's first, second, and third choice requests and try and meet as many of them as possible. And then teams will learn which tournaments they've been assigned to after that. So that's the same way we've been doing this for quite a few years now.
Sorry, I'm just trying to pull up the newsletter from last week. I didn't get it sent, so I had to request it. You guys can go ahead. I'm trying to pull up the newsletter so I can follow along here. Did anybody else have any trouble with being bumped from the newsletter list by chance?
I didn't see it either.
Okay. So I re-signed up again, and we'll see if I get it this week. I know that Heather mentioned that she didn't get it either. So
Brother said he didn't get it either, and he got the first one, but didn't get this one.
same with me.
He didn't get it because he's a volunteer. So very first newsletter went out to all past volunteers, all past registered teams, all newly registered teams. Now going forward, I think we just selected teams that are actually registered with First. So we're no longer sending to last year's teams or the volunteers.
So that's okay. So I updated my preferences in mine. Will that now kick the newsletter?
That'll be enough to trigger it.
Okay. So if
So
anybody's
if you've gone and updated your preferences, like it said in the first newsletter to do, then you'll continue receiving the newsletter.
I see what you did there.
The plan is that the newsletter The plan is that the newsletter will go out every Thursday afternoon. So people will start to expect that it should be every Thursday afternoon. I'm anticipating about 4 o'clock or so.
Okay. I figured that was going to be the big question of the day, is where we
Mhm.
were on that. I still can't find the newsletter. That's okay. No worries. All right. We can get anything else on that before we get into any questions you might have. Saw Peggy come off mute, so she's ready to go. And go, Peggy.
Okay, I have a robot game question for the wind turbine. My kid's robot is a little on the tall side, so when they go to activate that, the blades are actually hitting the top of the robot. They can still activate it, but they're concerned that the blades will get loose and potentially fall off. Is that a concern that they need to be concerned about?
So potentially during their match, you're saying it could fall off during a match. They're concerned
I'm
about
thinking it's going to
damage?
take more than their match, to be honest. I mean, if they go forward 3 times, I don't know that that's quite enough, but they're trying to work around it a lot. And I'm debating if that's actually a concern that they need to be worried about. If they happen to damage it because they have
Oh, I
a
see.
slightly taller robot, is that, I mean, if the part falls off, that's another question, I guess. If it does happen to fall off while they're doing this, does it get swiped out of the way or does it just land there if it's a part of a mission model?
So during the match, we wouldn't swipe it out of the way.
Okay.
I'm looking. So you guys all know there's the differences in this year and previous years. So whenever we have a question like this, I have to know. I'm going to look for robot damage and see what it says. And
Page 20, number 3.
there we go. Okay, so, and I'll just read it with you guys. So teams cannot separate the dual lock, take models apart, or break a mission model. Teams also may not interrupt the robot in such a way that they earn points from it. Points scored in these ways will not count. If the team separates or breaks a mission model, it says by rule that points will not be scored.
So if one of those fins falls off,
Yeah,
that
so
is
I
a
guess
concern. Okay.
I guess we could, if the robot breaks it, and I think that's different than if the model just falls apart, right? So
I think my bigger concern is that it won't fall off during that point, but if nobody notices it's loose, the next team
Well,
might have more problem with it.
I think that what you should do there, Peggy, is have the kids do their due diligence here, and during setup, ask the referee to make sure it's properly seated, right? That way, if the robot hits it, it's robot damaging it. I understand what you mean. So it could have been loose from other teams running, and your robot just happens to hit it and falls after your robot hitting it. So yeah, if you guys have a known issue with your robot being a little bit taller and it's causing that, I would ask the referees to check it before, and just let them know. Say, hey, our robot, can you just make sure it's squeezed tight on there or whatever. I think
Okay.
that's the
Oh, you
safest thing
check
to
it
do.
after also.
Say that again. I didn't.
Oh, I said, and they maybe have the referees check it after they're done, so the next team doesn't have to worry about it.
That's a good point, Debbie.
Right.
We
But
should.
if they can make their robot shorter or rebuild it in a way that it's not impacting the blade of the wind turbine, that would probably be the best solution.
Okay.
Because if they do go out and they break the model, I mean that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, so that one's pretty hard to do, to check for model failure as well, because if it's broken and it wasn't broken before, and we didn't check it before, we would assume the robot broke it. So there's really no way to go check that to see if it was not properly secured before, right? Because we can't check every model of every run.
And I do know that those fins seem to be, that's the thing, the kids love to play with that model and pump it in, and those fins will actually come off just from pumping it without it hitting anything. They do pump it a lot when they do that,
Gotcha.
but they are, I don't know if it's the, just the power of it spinning out that wants to pull those pieces out that does it or what, but that is the one that they've had to fix several times even before their robot is near it.
Okay.
Because they like to activate it by hand a lot.
Yeah, so I think Jeff's advice is good. If you guys can make it smaller, do. If you're too far in the process there and it's an issue, I would definitely ask the referees to check it before your match. Just like any other,
Okay.
any other setup item.
Okay.
Hello, Jen. Jen, Amy,
Yeah,
how are you guys?
fine. Jeff already dashed our team's hope for glamming up our robots, so
Yeah, I saw that.
you've
Sorry about
taken
that.
off the sticker.
yeah.
We're- But good to know before we go to competition. Otherwise, we're just happily breaking models right now, so we're working on that, just like Peggy is, seeing what we can do to make our code a little more reliable.
Jeff, if you remember that page number for the original condition of the robot, you can point me to it and we can kind of go over what her question was just real quick. If you happen to remember it, and you may not.
Sure, that was page 17, number 1.
Perfect. Okay, so the question was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jen. So they had a minifig sticker that they wanted to put on the
Yeah,
robot.
it was made by Lego, but
Right, of course.
yeah.
So, and what we quoted here was all equipment must be Lego made building pieces in original factory condition. So I think the point there was that because it was a sticker from a minifig, right? It wasn't factory condition if it was put on the robot. Is that kind of the gist of it there?
We were enhancing
there
the
were-
existing piece,
I
right?
get you.
Right.
Okay.
There were two aspects. Is the sticker really a building piece?
Right,
And
okay.
I would say I would lean towards no. And then the second thing is that the plate that they were adhering the sticker to was no longer in original factory condition because it had a sticker applied to it, which violates the rule also.
So,
Actually, Emily Newell had a better question here, though. It was this stuff about what happens to stuff that crosses the home line, but the rest of the robot maybe stops before it gets all the way into home. What happens to stuff that makes it in home? I thought the answer to that one, did we not come up with a conclusion to that last week? Because I thought we decided that the energy was okay, but the robot lost a precision token.
In previous years, the rules were very clear on this, that there was a concept of cargo in previous years. And so when your robot got interrupted, it had separate, in previous years' rules, there were separate guidelines on what to do with cargo versus what to do with the robot itself. This year, they've tried to simplify things further and they've eliminated the concept of cargo. And they just have what's in contact with the robot. And they don't have you looking at where is the cargo located versus where is the robot located anymore. It's just where is the robot located. So Jay, if you want to go look at page 20,
Yep.
Rule 1.
that's exactly what I'm reading right now. So, and I have to admit, I didn't have time to listen to what you guys discussed last week. That's kind of why I wasn't saying anything here. What was the? Did you guys come up with an answer last week, or?
So the question was, if say the robot is carrying a mission model back to home, the robot's entered home, the cargo that it's moving, even though cargo isn't a thing this year, the cargo though is completely inside of home, but some small part of the robot is sticking out of home and the technician touches the robot, interrupting it.
Yeah.
And so the way I read this is, here's what happens to any equipment or mission models that were in contact with the robot when it was interrupted outside of home, even partly. So doesn't say anything about where is the equipment or mission models, it's just where is the robot.
Yep.
And if the object was with the robot when it was launched, you keep it, bring it with the robot. If the object was obtained after the robot was launched, give it to the referee for the remainder of the match. So if the robot goes out and has retrieved something from the field and it gets interrupted and the robot is not completely in home, the way the rules are written this year is that that object, the equipment or the mission model that it retrieved, goes off the table.
That's exactly how I would read that too. So I was wondering what you guys said last week.
But what I did say last week is that we should take this back first and get clarification on this, because this is in some ways, kind of a significant change from the way the rules were in every past season I've ever done this in.
Well, I'll have to tell you guys, I haven't been getting a lot of timely responses from first on questions. So I think we're going to have to interpret it the way we interpret it. And then if we get clarification, we'll have to pass it on to you guys. I'll certainly write it down, but I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I wouldn't hold my breath waiting for answers at this point.
So Jay, if we all come away from this discussion with, you interrupt it, your cargo gets taken, right? Which is the standard position based on the rule, right?
Yeah, I think that's
And then at some point there's clarification from first mid-season. I presume that any clarification that's given, any match after that would be with the new situation versus the old situation, right? Or would you wait until?
Yes.
Okay.
that would
So
be
you-
immediate. Yeah. I mean, as soon as we can get information.
And
to
it
you.
would have to come out as a game update.
As a formal game update.
Because emails
Yeah.
and videos don't hold any weight. Remember.
Okay.
So when I take questions back to first, if they don't update the rules, we can see where they can tell us what they are trying to get across to us. But if there's no game rule update, it's not an official position.
Right. If they tell us the opposite of what's in the written rules,
Right.
we have to follow the rules,
Right.
not what first tells us. If they
Okay.
want to change the rules, it has to be done in the game update, because then it
Okay.
applies equally to everyone.
Okay.
So I have questions up from 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I haven't gotten official responses back. So
So the 14 questions you sent in, no answers
I've
to any
sent
of them?
twice. So kind of like last year, guys, where we kind of were doing our own thing, right? So that's kind of what we're gonna do. I think we're gonna make our rulings based on how we read the rules, and they change something, or if you guys have a valid argument, to argue your position, and you can make us see something different in interpreting the rules at the game, then we'll give you guys benefit of the doubt. But I'm gonna keep trying. I'm sure they're busy doing whatever, but I don't want to tell you guys we're waiting, or we're going to send up a question for an important answer, and you guys are waiting for that answer. We may not get the answer. So I think I agree with what Jeff read exactly. I mean, it says the exact situation is actually written here, so it's kind of lucky for us that it is written right here. So a lot of things have changed from the last couple years. Even the way the rules are written, some of the things that used to be in there we can't do now, and some things it's kind of a whole different thing. So we'll have to get that information out to Emily as well. I'll make sure she sees this one specific part here. And that was 10 Tooth Gear, right? Is that who that was?
Yep, correct. I have a project presentation question.
Awesome. Brian, you're up.
So I just want to confirm that if the team chooses to not demo their thing in front of the judges, that we can bring in a video using our own AV equipment, iPad, whatever, to show the judges during the project presentation.
Let me look into that.
Otherwise, it's gonna get real messy in that in that room, because ours is water-based.
Nice. There was a tournament once that they dumped a whole bunch of one of the teams dumped a whole bunch of water, and then 20 minutes they had to stall the tournament for like 20 minutes to clean it up.
We're going to pretend like that wasn't my team. So no, I don't think the one he's talking about was, but we did
I
spill
don't think
water
it
one
was.
year. Yeah.
I don't think it was, but
We had a fish tank with water in it, and they had to clean it up.
We'll bring our own mop in
Yeah.
addition to our AV equipment.
Right.
well, I do believe in child labor. There you go. Here's a map.
Other questions you guys might have?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Hey, this is Sean. This is my first year doing first Lego
Welcome.
league. I'm coaching 2 4th grade teams.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's gonna be an interesting adventure. I have I think a simple question. It's actually related to the sign up process that you said was going to be going out later this week. So is that sign up for First Lego League Wisconsin? Is that done through the first website that I've already signed up my teams through? Or is there a separate process, separate website I have to go to register?
Separate website.
Okay. And the payment, like how does the payment work for that? Because I'm working with the school district on this. I've worked through a lot of like logistical issues, like getting things paid in a timely manner. So like, how is that like a credit card, a purchase order? Like what are the different options for that? Because I don't have to work with the school district to get that paid.
The registration system we use has 2 options. You can either pay immediately with a credit, or once you get a tournament assignment, you can pay with a credit card, or you can request an invoice and mail in a check.
Okay, so it sounds like we can do the registration, like put in our available dates for the regionals, and then once that is done, then the payment can be done separately, or is that all one?
I believe it's done separately.
Okay, awesome. That I think that answers that question. I'm allowed to ask 2 questions in a row. Is that
Do it. You allowed, go for it, man.
okay? So yeah, this is my first year doing it. So I have 2 4th grade teams. Last year I kind of ran it as just an after school club. We didn't actually do first Lego League, but we had the Spike Prime and Spike Essential sets. This year I'm doing 2 teams. So here's my question. So far we haven't really gotten very far as far as building the robot or actually doing the project thing, I'll call it. So like how often are people meeting with their teams? Right now I'm doing once a week, which is to me clearly not frequently enough, like once a week for an hour. I feel like it's
That's
not enough.
No, that's not enough.
Yep, that's what I'm pretty sure. Okay.
You might want to consider in your meeting at the school.
Yes, immediately after school. Yep.
Well, for my team of 4th graders, an hour was their limit. Back in the day, when they were 4th graders. Now they're 4th year, or actually I guess they were 3rd graders at the time. But it was too much for them. So I think you're gonna have to add a second practice to get to the finish.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm planning on
Or
doing.
assign homework, which has worked in the past, as long as the parents are aligned to making it happen, right? So making sure that they're encouraging the kids to actually do the homework and turn it in on time for you.
Okay.
So that's like project scoping and stuff like that. So stuff that I've done in the past is like, hey, everybody go out and you can choose whatever energy source you want to research. But I need you to come back with 2 slides on energy sources. And then what we did was we picked which energy sources were most interesting to us. And then we look for projects around those energy sources. Does that make sense for the project piece of it?
It does. Yeah, that's helpful. Yeah.
And then if you haven't been on the Facebook site for First Lego League, there's this like share site. And if your team has any, doesn't have any idea, sometimes just going through the surveys that different people are sending out, or some of the helper sites or helper articles that people are coming out with, or tying their research to some kind of natural event or whatever, that might help them scope it a little easier. But the project is usually the hardest thing to get them motivated on if they're in 4th grade. They're much more interested in the robot.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you for the advice. Greatly appreciated. And then I guess I'll ask a third question. So if we only finish the robot and we don't even work on the other project, like what are people's thoughts on showing up to the regional and just saying, hey, we'll take 0 points for the project and only do the robot? I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but I'm just curious, like if other people, like, is that like good idea, bad idea?
I think it's not a good idea. I think that to have some sort of project,
Okay.
some sort of research. And I think one of the things that's very important to consider is that you can always take something that already exists and you can just improve upon it. It doesn't necessarily have to be totally brand new, completely out of the box. You know, like you can find something that exists and just make it slightly better. And that's okay. And the judges will understand that these are fourth graders and they're not expecting a polished CEO type of presentation. They're expecting a fourth grade presentation. So I think for them to maybe take a look at what's on their board and what are their, which mission is their favorite mission, and then do some research about that. That might be a good way to get them started. I agree with what Jen was saying about having them do some homework and look at what, you know, they see around them and bring something back to talk about that. That's a really, really good way to get them thinking about it outside of the meeting. But if they're not keen on that, or you don't have the parent support to look at the board and say, oh, I really like the wind turbine. Fine, let's talk about wind turbine. What can we do to, what can be made better? What can make it easier in our community? So that I do think you need to have some sort of something to bring to the judges. Somebody tell me I'm wrong. I don't.
No, Jen, I agree with you 100%. I would strongly suggest you put something together. Worst case scenario, I mean, they get the experience of being there. Because, I mean, there's so many facets to this. I mean, coming from a referee, there's other facets, you know, other than the robot game that they really need to, you know, be involved in. The whole program is specifically designed not to be just around the robot. So I think they're only getting 25% of the experience if they don't. I get it. I mean, we've had a bunch of teams through the years too. The kids are young and some of them just want to play with Legos. They don't want to do the research and stuff. But yeah, I would strongly suggest trying to get something together for them. Do you practice with all the teams together, with both teams together?
Yeah, so there's a team of 5 and a team of 4 fourth graders, and I actually am running it additionally as an after school club. So there's 27 third graders that are not doing any first Lego League. They're just playing with Spike Essential, and they're doing like the Lego curriculum lessons. And I do have like 3 volunteers that are trying to wrangle the 27 third graders while I try to focus on the 2 teams of fourth graders. So it's cool. It's a super, it's hard. It's hard. I don't work with kids for my day job. So it's like a crazy, awesome adventure with Legos and robots and kids all at the same time with like 38 kids in a school cafeteria.
Yeah. Good luck.
Sean,
we have that too. So yeah.
Where are you based, Sean?
I live in Port Washington, Wisconsin. The elementary school that the kids go to is in Saukville. So it's the Port Washington Saukville School District located in Ozaukee County.
I'm sure that there's an FRC team somewhere down there that would be willing to maybe help out. That would, you know, if you got some high school junior mentors to come in and help with some of that, you wouldn't necessarily just need programming mentors. Maybe some of the students would come and be able to help you with brainstorming some project ideas. I know, you know, FRC teams all have chairman's teams, and that's what they're all about, is outreach and helping to grow first. So that would be a wonderful, wonderful resource for you that they would. And what I've always found, again, correct me if I'm wrong, that the younger kids are going to listen to the high school students before they're going to listen to the adult mentors. So that might be another way to get them on board.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I at the high school, at Port Washington High School, I guess they used to have a first robotics team, but in the last couple of years they don't have it anymore. So but I know there's probably other teams in Ozaukee County I could reach out to. So maybe
I know that Sheboygan Falls and Sheboygan North both have teams. I work in the Sheboygan School District, so that there are teams in that area. There's Hamilton's got a big team. I mean, there's stuff, right? I mean, Brian, can you think of FRC teams around there? I don't know their names off the top of my head.
Sorry, I was paying attention to their stuff. Port Washington. Yeah, there was a team up there. So they're not around right now.
No, I emailed the 2 high school teachers that were doing it, and they said they're not doing it anymore.
Okay. Sean, could you just drop your email address in the Slack chat somewhere, and I will reach out and see if I can find somebody near you that can help. So you're at the Port Washington Elementary School?
Yeah, it's Saukville Elementary is a specific
Elementary?
elementary school. Yeah.
Okay, if you'll just drop your email address.
Sure.
If you don't mind, and I'll
Yeah,
see what I can do.
I can put that in a Slack channel. Absolutely.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Sean, have
Sean,
you?
I'm.
Go ahead. Go
okay.
ahead, Jen.
We're just gonna say, so I also run 5 Explore teams, and since they're 4th grade, they might respond better to the Explore homework. So in the chat, I'm gonna drop in all the homework assignments I give to the Explore kids that might help your kids generate some quick and dirty ideas. And then, have you established how they're going to vote on what to do next yet? Like in the
No.
robot or anything? Okay.
No, so yeah, we're not very far along. So I'm attempting to get the parents to respond to me so that I can schedule a dish for scheduling and availability, so I can get them to do two days after school for an hour each from now until whatever regional we're in. So
Gotcha. Okay, I'll drop those in the chat for you, so you at least have a place to start.
And
Okay.
are you guys utilizing the rubrics, Sean?
yeah, so I've got like the engineering notebooks, and I've got the meeting guide and the Lego robot rules guide. So yeah, I'm going to be digging into those, I think probably every night for a while, and trying to prep myself as much as possible prior to the meetings. Yeah.
Are the actual rubrics in so I haven't seen the engineering guide. Are the rubrics in there? Have you seen the actual rubrics?
The rubrics. Oh, you mean how the scoring is done? Is that the rubric?
The
Yes.
judge, yeah, basically the judge scoring.
Yes,
yeah.
I
Absolutely.
have. I've seen that. Yep.
Have your kids and train your kids to that rubric. That's what they want to accomplish in the judging. So
Okay.
make sure they read it and understand. I would take a whole session if you have to and just go through and make sure they understand what the judges are looking for, because that's the answer to their test. You're giving them the answers. You're saying, here's what they want to. This is what they want to hear from you. Now you just got to fill in the blanks and make that happen. So I would highly suggest rubrics. So.
Got it. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you for all the tips and tricks. Yeah, greatly appreciated.
So just a couple more comments on this. One is, even if you don't feel your team is prepared for the event, I still highly recommend that teams attend the event. One of the reasons to do that is to prepare for next year. And what I always found when I coach teams is that the kids would go in and they'd see what all the other teams had done, both with their robot and how they're solving various missions, but also wandering around what's referred to as the pit area, where it's generally like a cafeteria, and every team gets a table there where they can set up a display of their robot, of their research project. It looks a lot like a big science fair at times. And just having your kids wander through that and see what the other teams did is a phenomenal learning experience. And I found the kids on my team would come out of that saying, oh my gosh, look what they did. That's so easy. We could have done that too. And they come back with so many ideas and excitement about what they're going to do next year. So that's a big part of it. The other thing is with the research project, describing it as a research project, may not be that exciting to some kids, but a science project and doing a skit about what you learned and what you created, for some kids can be quite an exciting thing. So maybe not portray it as a research project, but as some sort of exciting science experiment.
Okay.
To tag on what Jeff just said, my new wording is they call it the innovation project. It's your chance to invent something, like to be an inventor, and what would you make that would be cool, and that gives them a little better taste than saying research project. So
okay. And then I think I just came with one more question. I think this is really the last one. So generally, like year over year, do you coach the same group of kids like throughout their progression? Like I have a group of, so my kids aren't actually old enough to do it. So these are just 4th graders that are at my kids' elementary school. They go to middle school next year. So like, do you generally coach like the same team like year over year?
It varies.
Okay.
I have.
There
I've
are
had
some
matches there in
coaches that I've
kindergarten.
seen.
So my core 5 are all on my Lego Explorer team in 2016.
All right, cool. Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you for all the advice and help. Appreciate it.
Sean, there is a benefit in having the same group go year over year, because then you're not teaching them something new every year. So if you can keep at least one or two of those kids onto the new team the next year, they can start leading the other kids through it, which was my experience with our sixth graders guiding our third graders last year. There was a good partnership there because they had already been through it a couple of years. And the little ones who were coming up from Explore were learning from the older ones. So that dynamic that Jennifer was referring to about they'll listen to their peers, but they won't listen to their parents was actually a real benefit in the organization for last year.
Cool. Thank you.
Sean, are you in Teams or Slack?
I am. Yep.
I will reach out. I did a quick search on First website for teams within 25 miles of the Port Washington zip code, or well, one of the Port Washington zip codes. I'll drop that in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
feel free to ask anything you want. These guys are, well, I mean, you've seen the Slack channel. Tons of good resources there. These guys are really great at helping newer teams get up, and we've had teams go to world championships and then mentoring and helping new teams the next year. The resources out there are really good. These guys are phenomenal. So you don't even
And I
have
would
to ask.
also,
Yeah.
Sean, I would also encourage you to try to go to one of the scrimmages if it's at all possible, even if your team has nothing prepared and has a robot built. Go to the scrimmage if you can, because then they get an idea as to what's going to happen at the actual tournament, and it's not as scary. So especially for fourth graders, if this is their first time doing it, I think those scrimmages are really helpful if you can make that work.
I'm gonna ask now another question. Sorry, how do I figure out where these scrimmages are located and when they are?
Lucky you.
So there'll be one October 29th in Waukesha.
Okay.
Okay, which if you don't know where that is, it's about 20 minutes west of Milwaukee.
Yep, I know where Waukesha is. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
I will get the thing over to Debbie for the sign up to go into the newsletter.
Awesome. So it'll be in the newsletter then.
It'll
Okay.
be in the newsletter. Once it's in the newsletter, then I'll throw it in Slack, but kind of want to be fair to everybody.
Okay.
Sean, another option if the travel to Waukesha is too far, is a veteran coach took us under his wing the second year, COVID year. And he would actually do judging sessions with us. And the kids would just present via Zoom. So if it turns out that you have a presentation and you want a senior coach who maybe has done some judging to kind of give the kids a first taste of, feedback without being in a room with an actual judging crew, that's another option available to you. And if you just request it in the Slack channel, typically people with judging experience or veteran coaches will reach out to help you get, some feedback on what the kids have put together.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about the Mission 1, the white Lego prototype?
Okay.
Can they use Lego pieces that are not out of bag 14?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see. I don't see anything. It says they have to be built out of that bag this year.
Okay. All it said is it has to be like 2 white pieces and a minimum of 4 lugs long. That was it, right? So if they use two white pieces like that, and then they could put on a big black piece if they wanted to, or a big orange piece, right? It can be whatever, as long as it's Lego pieces.
My understanding of that, yeah.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
And it's one of the outstanding questions still on that faceplate for that, when we dump all the energy tokens into, that we can use any Lego bricks as the default, or are we only using the dots pieces?
So the information for that is written exactly the same as the innovation model as far as the bricks being provided.
Mhm.
So if we apply the same interpretation, and this is a discussion we did have with the referee group too, and that is one of the questions we sent up.
Okay.
Our determination as of right now, and Jeff can correct me if I'm mistaken, but our interpretation right now is that you're allowed to use any Lego bricks.
Okay. And just for reference, it was mission 3 energy storage with the tiles. Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure that was still the status quo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything that would disallow that.
Okay.
And again, if they don't intend that to be that way, they're probably going to have to issue a game rule update because, you know, it doesn't say in here that you have to use those bricks. So
So Jen, I was able to do a little research on your question. Everything I see says live. Okay, that's team facing. But historically, and based on something else I'm seeing that's not is more than just in the judging material. You can do like a pre-recorded thing, but your team has to be able to deal with it if it doesn't, you know, if for some reason there's a technology problem, you know, they have to be able to pivot and deal with it. Okay. In general, it has to be a live presentation. So don't, you know, and don't get, you know, the guidance I'd give people is don't go 44 minutes and 59 seconds recorded in 1 second live.
Yep.
You know, go with the spirit of what they're looking for, but as a supplemental thing, I'm not seeing anything that says it can't be done.
Okay. So as long as it doesn't dwarf the entire presentation, using some kind of media is acceptable to show the demo or alternative, whatever they want to show, as long as it's not more than half of it or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Jen, are you guys planning on having that in the pit area? I'm just curious. Are you going to have the actual working
The
model?
thing that we're making?
Yeah.
Well, it's still in one piece right now, so
Oh no.
and it's
So
functional so far.
yeah, I mean, I guess I was wondering, just curiosity for no reason at all.
Yeah.
If your plan is to go into the judging room with, you know, your pre-recorded demo of that, or you're going to have the actual unit in pit area should the judges want to happen and want to go see it. I don't know that.
We would bring it into the room, but there's always a question whether you bring it into the room and is it really functional or not. So the
Gotcha.
kids want to prove, they're very proud of this.
Yeah. Good. Good.
They want to
Yeah.
prove to the judges that it works,
Okay.
right? So I don't think, Brian, that they were like, oh, we're going to pre-record it like COVID times, right? They were like,
Yeah.
oh, can we show like a
Yeah.
10-second video to show that, you know, this thing kind of sort of functions in the way we intended it to as a proof of concept. That was their plan.
And I figured that's where you're coming from it, but I wanted to make sure other people heard that message too.
Okay. But yeah, I'll let you see it, Jay.
I was going to say, because I want to see it. That's where I was going.
I'm
It's kinda
intrigued
fun.
now.
It's
Bring it
kinda
to- Bring it to
fun.
the scrimmage.
I have to know some people.
I don't think
here
it's
that
gonna be
can
ready
get
by
me-
the scrimmage, Brian. It's functional, but it's not functional in the way intended, kind of like our robot, you know?
Yeah, but you
It'll
bring
do
that to the
stuff, but
scrimmage.
not perfectly.
You're going to bring that to the scrimmage anyways. So
That's true. That's true. 3 tries to get that right.
yeah, but the judging is the perfect time to go through that stuff. And
No,
Yeah,
I agree. I think
scrimmage.
that the judge is a good time to get an idea of what kind of questions. It's a good time to get, especially at the scrimmage, a good time to get the questions you didn't know that you should have been answering asked, right? And then you go look into those areas too. So I think that you bring up a good point. We'll bring the thing, but
The
we won't do a
thing.
live demo. We won't do a live demo because last time we were in the room with all the computers and that
Oh boy.
I just had visions of water just spraying everywhere.
well, if you need special requirements, let me know.
Will do.
Like tarps,
Put you in
and
the auto shop or something.
ponchos, swimming pool.
I'm
area.
not lying. I heard, I wasn't part of the project demo, but I heard that the entire group got sprayed and soaked. So that's why we're hoping for a video to show.
Sounds like a judge's field trip to outside.
Oh.
I don't know
Very
that we
true.
can take that one on.
Well, I have to see it now, so I'm very intrigued.
I'll send you the pre-video, Jay.
I was
It
gonna
doesn't
say,
have
I-
anybody getting sprayed.
Yeah.
Oh, she's gonna spoil you, Jay.
You guys didn't spray Barry down, or come on?
He wasn't there for that one.
Oh, I'd make him be
Um,
there.
Scott was there for that one. I wasn't there either, but I saw them do it and I was impressed. They got it to work. So
Hopefully it's not battery acid flying everywhere.
that is part of the project.
Oh my god. Okay.
We
Now
haven't
we're
hooked
really
that part up
intrigued.
yet.
I think the video will be fine for me. I don't need to see it live. It's good. It's all good. So I'll let you guys think of some more questions while I do my deal here for the volunteers.
Debbie, we may need to get lab jackets for the judges.
Yeah.
I
So
was,
go
I
ahead,
was
Debbie.
thinking ponchos, but
But yeah, the ponchos, actually, big heavy rubber ones might be a good idea.
So as always, once signing up or once the tournaments are released on the first website for volunteers, you guys could please spread the word for us with families, kids' families and stuff like that. We're always looking for volunteers, and you just go to the firstinspires.org, sign up there for any and all of the tournaments that you would be available to help us with, because I know they're always going to be looking. Also, we've talked tonight already about the Slack channel. I think everybody by now is pretty familiar that we do have a Slack channel. It's a pretty good resource if you guys have questions that, just hit you at, whatever time during the week, and you can probably get an answer pretty quick from a lot of the coaches and stuff there. There's a referee channel there that we try to get back, get answers to your questions there as soon as we can. And also there is a judge question there. Just give us some time. Sometimes we have to research an answer for you. Sometimes we have to confer, but we try to get back to you. And if we don't, by chance, we try to do a sweep before the coaches calls and try to make sure we have addressed all of the questions that are outstanding. So, can they still reply back to the newsletter, Jeff? Is that a valid way to get questions to you guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, like I just said, also a way to get a question answered, and that would be for any question that you have. Just reply back to the newsletter, and then these guys, Debbie and Jeff and Steve and whoever else is over there, they'll direct it to the proper channel to try to get an answer for you. So, and I guess that being said as well, if and I haven't heard any of this at all, but if you guys have a question that you've asked or maybe emailed in and it hasn't been addressed yet, please make sure we bring it back to our attention, because we're not intentionally leaving any questions unanswered. Sometimes they slip through, so I haven't heard anybody say they didn't get an answer yet, but just in case. Any other questions while we're still here? Nope. Okay. I think that'll be it, guys. So we'll be back next week. Same time, same channel. All right. Bye.